Hello, this is working? Oh, it is. Elon Musk, Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, Warren Buffett. All these guys have something in common other than that they're rich and successful, and other than the obvious traits that led them to be rich and successful, such as their intelligence, their talents, their work ethic, their leadership skills, etc. There's one trait that stands out to me that all these guys have, and that's the speed of implementation. That is that these guys have the ability to execute on an idea very quickly from the moment it hits their mind. And I believe that this is the golden trait that makes them all really successful. It's not that they're way more talented than the rest of us. And it's not that they're much more, intelligent, though they are very talented. But I think this is a trait we all possess, and it's more about that these guys are just hell-bent on getting the job done, and they don't make excuses if they come up short. If you look at their day-to-day activities, their days are just filled with just tasks, hard tasks, one after the other, and they have to knock them out one by one. And that's the life of an entrepreneur. For all my entrepreneurs out here, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Your day is just filled with stuff you don't want to do, but you got to do them anyway, and you got to get it done as quickly as possible. And it just really speaks to how important time is to all of them. Sure, when they get a task, they could drag it out for as long as possible and slack on it, but they know that time is limited on this earth, and it's the most valuable resource to them. And not only that, it goes by, it just flies by. So can I get a raise of hands here? Who has something, could be a big project, could be something small, that they wish they started on like a year ago? What about like a month ago? A week ago? Yesterday? Okay, there are a few. I thought there would be more, but this is Toastmasters. We're above the average person. This is not. But we're all go-getters here. But anyway, we've all had some projects that we've had in the past that we've put off. We put off chores when we come home. We put off maybe going to the gym, eating healthy. I'm so guilty of this. I'm like one of the laziest people out there. I remember when I was in school, I would always have projects that would be due like weeks from now, and I would just intentionally put it off. Like if it was due weeks from now and I had to do it, and that day I would watch TV instead, and then like the next day comes, I would go and some other excuse would come. I would go play basketball with my friends, and I literally did this before. Like it's Sunday, I told myself, I'm get a fresh start at the beginning of the week. So how to attack this problem of procrastination? Because let's be honest, it's not easy, especially for us lazy people. Well, unfortunately for you guys, I don't have a magic pill solution other than just to summon up your own willpower and do it. But if anybody does have a magic pill solution, I need to come speak to you after the meeting. But rather than just leave it off there and be lame, I do have a couple of tips that I've tried that help aid me with this. So the first one I have, and there's a whole bunch of tips that you can Google. These are just ones that I use just personally. So the first one that I have is most tasks are, the reason why we procrastinate is because they're really difficult. So when we look at a task that's too big to handle, we just lose our motivation to do it. So break it down into smaller task until it's simple enough where you're motivated to do it, and then after you're done with like one piece of it, move on to the next piece, and then move on to the next piece. I remember when I was like a kid, I would have to like rake the yard, and it was a big backyard we had full of leaves, and it would have taken me like 5 hours to complete the whole thing. And I remember picking up my rake, I'm like, I don't want to do this, but I had to do it, otherwise I'd get in trouble. So what I did was I just divided it up into like sections. And I told myself, all right, I'm gonna knock out this section before I move on to this section, before I move on to this section. And the sections were still too big, I'd divide that up into even smaller sections. So I would just knock out one little area of the yard before I moved on to the next. And it helped. It helped with me mentally. I think the big thing here is if you have a difficult task, like make sure, just go small and then just knock it out one by one until you get it done. And be careful not to look at the big picture again, otherwise you'll be overwhelmed again. So the next tip I have is, this one's been probably the most effective for me, is to get an accountability partner. Get a friend, literally sit the friend down and tell him or her your goals. Tell them to get that person to motivate you, and if you're having struggle completing your goals, talk to that person about it with your pain points and your struggles of why you're not meeting your goals. And obviously do the same for your friend too. You guys keep each other accountable. And to take it a step further, come up with like a system for yourself. The kind of system I'm thinking of is like a punishment and reward system. So if you don't complete your goal, you got to punish yourself some way, somehow. And you have to let your friend know, because let's be honest, who wants to punish ourselves? So get your friend, accountability friend, to keep you accountable. And if you do follow through with your goals, you can give yourself a reward if that works for you. Give yourself like a cookie or some cake at the end of the day if you follow through with it. So for me personally, I have a punishment system where if I don't follow through with my goal, I got to give my accountability partner $5. And I find that this system works for me. After like 2 or 3 days, I'm like, I'm losing too much money. I got to get started. So find whatever system works for you, because the speed of implementation, the ability to do things immediately the moment it enters your mind, is something I believe is very important, and it's actually something I believe that can separate you from the average person. Because I feel like procrastination just derails most of us from meeting our goals. So try this for your lives, and let's see how it works for you. Madam Toastmaster.